Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. Today we are going to be doing my October TBR. I feel like I've not done a sit down video for ages, and I know I say this every single time I do a sit down video, but it's true. I just feel very out of whack recently. But you're going to ignore what's behind me there, because that's my wrap up. But we're going to be doing my October TBR, which we're going to do slightly differently, because I'm not going to pick a 12 books, 12 friends prompt for this month. Reason being, I didn't get to Becca's last month because September was a shit show. Just going to throw it out there. And my happy place was manga. So books went by the wayside. And I do want to read these Rebel Waves. So the prompt that Becca picked is also going to fit in with what I need to read for this month as well. So the way that it's going to work is I still have 3 friends prompts and books to pick. There is it ends with those that Chloe picked, and then her prompt was to read a smutty book. There was Liv's, which was to read a graphic novel, which was one of the Titan graphic novels with Raven, I think. And then there was To Sleep in the Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. So those were the 3 that I had left for October, November, December. I can't remember what Catherine and Liv's prompts were, but those are the books that were picked. So I'm just going to club them together, read them in November, and just do a vlog wrapping up the year and then start fresh next year. So these Rebel Waves and the prompt that Becca picked is going to be rolled over to this month. I am still excited to read that, even though I'm kind of moving away from YA. That's been on my radar for ages because Becca really enjoyed it and she's recommended it. I really want to give it a shot, so I am still interested in reading it. Like I said, last month was just a bit of a shit show. So speaking of Becca, we might as well just go on to books that I need to read for By the Angel Along, because reading went down the crapper. I didn't get to Chain of Thorns, so I need to read this week, because the live show for this is next Tuesday, I want to say. I'm scared, very scared, but also excited about reading this. So we've got that. We then have the Christopher Long book, which I haven't picked up, and it's behind you in my hallway, so I'm not going to go get it, and that's Illuminae Files by Christoph and Amy Kaufman. J. Christoph and Amy Kaufman, by the way. I always skip his first name. And I'm really excited to get to that, because the Lifelike series, the first book I rated 5 stars, I really enjoyed it. Was it 5 or 4? I can't remember. But then book 2 went severely downhill for me. Chloe's not been enjoying the series, full stop. So moving on to a series that I know everyone that I've come in contact with in my friend group really enjoy this when they've read it. I'm really excited to get to it. So on the Christopher Long, I do also have to read True Life, which is the final book in the Lifelike trilogy, and I'll just get around to that this week as well. I have it on audio. I did go out and buy the hardbacks of the first 2 books in that series, because in my brain I needed all my Christoph in physical form, but because book 2 was such a letdown, I'm going to wait, read book 3 audibly, and if it pulls it back, then I'm going to get the book 3. If not, I'm just going to sell books 1 and 2. They were expensive, they were second hands. It's not like I paid out a fortune for them, so we'll just see how that goes. And then for Schwabberlong, another disappointing one. It's a Cassidy Blake series. Now, I knew that this was middle grade going in, and I got nothing against middle grade. Again, recently I've not been reading as much, but that's just because I've been reading a lot of adult and YA and like contemporary, and I've moved away from sort of like the middle grade for a period. I've just not been interested in any middle grade. But it's Schwab, so I was so excited to get to City of Ghosts, and I just feel there was something lacking, and it's the first Schwab that I've given lower than a 4 star. I think I gave it like 3.5 in the end, because it was just above average. So I'm gonna audibly listen. I'm gonna listen to books 2 and 3, And the Shwabble Ding Dong final live show is going to be at the end of October, where we're going to discuss the full series, me, Jem and Tori. And that is the end of Shwabble. So there's the By the Angel one that comes to an end this month, and then the Shwabble that comes to the end this month, and it's just a lot of endings. The podcast pick is a book, yet again, that's out of my comfort zone. I'm nervous about this, but again, also excited. It's only small, and I genuinely can't remember what this is about, but when it was explained to me and when Chloe picked it, because Chloe from Sister Bookham is joining us this month, I was very excited to read this. Because the last couple of books that I've had recommended to me or that people have picked that have been out of my comfort zone, they've generally been good. So we've had Sundial, we've had Southern Book Club, we've had Slaying Vampires, which was out of my comfort zone, which I really enjoyed. Regency Romance that Meg recommended. I found a favourite author in India Halton now because of reading outside my comfort zone, so I'm trying not to stick in my little fantasy bubble, because I know that there are some books and some authors out there that are not within this like fantasy bubble that I like to stick within, that actually I do gravitate towards and I do enjoy. So I'm hoping that this is going to be one of them. And for the It's All About Fantasy Book Club that me and Chels from Not So Sick of Bookaholic run, we're doing a standalone this month. So we're gonna, at the end of October, we're gonna be doing the live show for the last 2 books in the Pillars of Peace series. We have both been mega busy, and as I said, September wasn't the best month for me. Chels was travelling a lot with work, and we just didn't want to rush through the books. And because we don't feel like it would do the author justice, it wouldn't be any point in it. So we're gonna, and they're only short books, so we're going to read them both and do the live show for the last 2 books at the end of October. But the October book that we're going to do the live show in November for is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. I've recently read Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reid, which is another book that an author that's outside of our comfort zone, and I really enjoyed it. Very atmospheric, very eerie, very dark. Trigger warning is to high heaven, so please check them out. But I'm very excited to get to A Study in Drowning. I want to see if it has the same vibes and just how they write, because I feel like this could be another very niche thing that's outside my comfort zone. The same with Christina Henry. I'm vibing with the eerie, dark but not too gory, like quiet horror-esque vibes. Does that make sense? And I think for book clubs, read-alongs, that is it. I should write down. I've got my journal here. I should have written it down in here, but I didn't. So we're just gonna move on. So I got some stickers from Shein. Are they adorable? He's adorable. And then these are just even more adorable. And anyway, you don't care about that, but I just thought I'd show you anyway. So, Spookopothon, my little board was here. I did my rolls, and I'm just gonna show you now how those rolls went. So we're gonna get on to roll number 1. So this is my little counter, because I've put it in my journal. I'm gonna start with 4 rolls. So, let's get my dice. In a row. Let's do a 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. TBR Vet. So roll number 1 was a TBR Vet, and I was debating whether or not to do this because it means starting another vlog in October, and it's just gonna be a lot, but I need to record reading this series. I decided to go for the Red Rising series. So I was going to pick this for another prompt which comes up later, but I've chosen a different one for that, and you'll see why in a minute. But I've been wanting to read Red Rising for ages. As soon as the hype happened, around the time, it was before the Fairy Look special editions came out, but loads of people were talking about it, and I said to myself, oh, I'll read it before the special editions come out, and if I like it I'll get them, and then I never did. But I've got, well, prior to the 6th book coming out, I bought the box set of all 5 paperbacks. And they were just sat on my shelf for ages, staring at me, and they've not been read. So for me, that is a TBR Vet, because as I've mentioned a number of times on this channel, but if you're new here you won't know, when I started getting back into reading in 2020, I got rid of all the old thriller, like detective-y type books that I used to read. So my TBR is only as old as maybe like 2020. December 2020 is when I started collecting books again and started reading more. So for me, that's the TBR Vet. It's like coming up to 3 years now. So yeah, it needs to be sorted. I need to read it. And now we're going to go on to roll number 2. Right, next up, roll number 2. 6 and a 3, is that 6? Yeah, 6 and a 3, 9. So we've got, let's get the camera angle right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, stuck. So that's spooky. So roll number 2 was spooky. And I don't have that many spooky books. I was going to just default to Christina Henry because I know that I've been loving her writing, and I don't really know if I like any other kind of spooky books. However, Sweet Pea by CJ Skews has been on my TBR forever. This was one of the ones that I got prior to 2020. So it could have been a TBR Vet actually. But the ones I got prior to 2020 that I didn't unhaul and I started rereading again. But Leanne from Literary Apothecary? Oh my god, why have I forgotten her name? She's Scottish, she's lovely, she's a bean. I'll leave a link down below. But she goes on about this book. And as far as I remember, the second in the series she didn't particularly like. I think it was the second one she didn't particularly like. But she loved the first one. And I feel like this is the kind of book that I'm going to enjoy. Because it's dark, but the main character is kind of like, from what I gather, she's the bad guy, but you kind of root for her. So I'm down for that, not gonna lie. And for those of you who don't know, this is what Sweet Pea looks like. And I'm gonna get the audiobook for this as well. And you can see how old this is, because before I started looking after my books, this was just left to collect dust on a shelf, and the edges have started to yellow a little bit. Because I, unfortunately, never used to take care of my books all that great. And they were just dumped places. And I lived in a pretty crappy damp house for a while. Anyway, that's by the by. We're going to move on to roll number 3. Next up, roll number 3. We have a 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mary Shelley. So roll number 3 was Mary Shelley, and I wasn't aware of this. When I've read up on the prompt and what this means, it's like sci-fi. And this works well because I am a judge for SPSFC, and I am going to be reading multiple SPSFC books. At the moment, we're only reading sort of like 30% of the first couple of books that we're going to be judging. If we can whittle it down before the end of October, I'll use that as a pick. But if not, I'm just going to double up the prompt, and I'm going to use TBR Vet and Mary Shelley as my sci-fi pick for Red Rising. And then the final roll for now, 5 again. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Crows and Ravens. Again, I'm going to have to look up the rules for this, and then I will come back and let you know what my picks are. Roll number 4 was Crows and Ravens, and this is where we get fun. Fun, fine, fresh, funky and fabulous. This is a fave series of Gem from Bookish Gems, but also I'm sure Meg really enjoys this series as well. But this was a recommendation. When I asked my friends for a series, book series that they recommend I read, Chloe from Persistent Bookworm picked this. series. She'd only read book 1 or book 1 and 2 by the time that she recommended this to me, but she really enjoyed it that much. She was like, here, this is my recommendation. So I'm going to be doing a vlog on this. You're going to get my full thoughts, feelings and ponderings and reactions to me reading this. I'm intrigued. I did know what the synopsis was, but I blanked on it, and I'm not gonna reread it before going in. So, guessing about some magic raven boys? Yeah, we're just gonna do that. And then, the other readathon I'm taking part in is Gotoba. Did I tell you that was this Bookathon readathon? Did I? If I didn't, there you go. Becca's Bookathon was supposed to be in September, in October instead, due to reasons. And yeah, spooky version done. Anyway, next is Gotoba, and this month, this year, is Creature Feature. And this is what happened when I went through the Build My Creature. Here we go, let's have a look. So, where is your lair? Do we do a Dracula's castle, the morgue, or a swamp? I think Dracula's castle. Head. Black Lagoon, Mothman, or Headless. I'm gonna say Mothman. Robot arm, tentacles, or werewolf claw. I mean, we all know about the tentacles. But my right arm is going to be a werewolf claw. My left arm is going to be webbed, hooked, or ghostly. What do we do? What do we do? Do we do webbed? Ghostly. Let's say that. Snake body. Body innards. Ugh. Or bird feet. Let's go with bird feet so I can still walk. Above my head is horns. Sorry, it's gotta be horns. And back item. Wings Kagune? Don't know what that is. Or demon whiptail. I mean, I do love a good whip, but we're gonna go bat wings. So these are the books I have to read. Got BIPOC Rep, Disability Rep, LGBTQ Rep, Sentient House, Insects, Fake Dating, Book That Haunts You, Asian Mythology, Smut or Spice, or Fairy Tale Retelling. I mean, to be fair, I could use the Katie Robert books for these two. But I don't read much Asian mythology, so... the book that haunts me is currently, Christopher Paolini, To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. I'm not going to have to read that in October. We'll see. Future Lisa, what did you pick? There was many prompts that came at the end of this. Some are going to be quite easy to fit, and some not so much. So I might not be able to fulfill all these prompts unless I can maybe twist the Asian mythology and pick up a manga of some kind. Because Asian mythology wise, I have got rid of all of my books that have Asian mythology, I think. Unless I could try and read The Art of Prophecy. Anyway, we're going to go through what I've decided to pick for some of these prompts, and the rest we're just going to sort of muddle through as we go. So, Meg is going to be happy about this, but for Disability Rep, I picked The Whispering Dark. I think that might be the only prompt that it fits, but I think she's hard of hearing. But I did ask Meg, and I said, is there any of these in there? And she was like, I think insects are mentioned at some point. So depending on how much insects are mentioned, I might just have to put that on there as well. Because I'm not a fan of creep crawlers. So I'm not going to go out of my way to find like a horror or anything like that that sort of mentions a lot to do with insects. So I'm just going to see whether or not I can count it I'm sure that I will be able to. I'm sure they won't mind me stretching the prompts, but there we go. For Smut or Spice and Fairy Tale Retelling, this is where Becca's prompt comes in again. But also, Chloe's prompt from Chloe Reads Books. Thinking of it, I could read It Ends With Us this month as well, not gonna lie. So I could read Chloe's this month. Because Fairy Tale Retellings and Smut, I have 2 books. I have Desperate Measures and Learn My Lesson by Katie Robert. And if I remember rightly, I keep thinking in my brain, because that's where you do your thinking, that Becca and Chloe both chose like smutty prompts. And I'm thinking that because that is very much of them prompts to pick. But also I think I remember at the time thinking, that's pretty cool that they both picked the same one, but it also doesn't surprise me. So if not, I'll go back and change it, but this is what I think the prompts are. So these are both available on Scribd as well. I know that people have said that this one is very cringy to listen to, so I might have to read this physically, which depends on if I can read it audibly or not, will depend on whether or not I can get to It Ends With Us as well. So I might have to do Chloe's prompt this month and a book next month, but we'll see. But these 2 are going to be fulfilling a fairy tale and smut, fairy tale retelling and smut. So this one is Aladdin, and Learn My Lesson is, I can't remember what Learn My Lesson is a retelling of. Is this Beauty and the Beast? No, it's not. It's a retelling of something. So there we go. There we go. So fake dating is a prompt on here that I couldn't think of a spooky type of book to read for that prompt. So I thought I'd go with something cute and cozy. I thought I'd go with something cute and cozy. And I've gone for Fake Dates and Mooncakes because this book was sent to me and it's really thin and I think that I'm going to love it. It's queer and I'm going out of my comfort zone with a few things this month, so I thought, why not? Just get some contemporary in there. And also, it's just, you know, it's adorable. So, we don't always have to read spooky books for spooky season, you know. The next one is LGBTQ Rep and BIPOC Rep. So, I don't know where this book currently is because I did a shelf reshuffle. And I know I still have it, I just don't know where it is. But it's The Other Ones by Fran Hart. I reread that for the podcast last year. Me, Becca and Jem loved it. And I have just felt the urge to reread it. So, 2 birds, 1 stone. And I know I'm going to love it because packs. If you've read it, packs. That's all I'm going to say. If you haven't read it, read it, because packs. 3 prompts that I'm struggling to fill is Sentient House, a book that haunts you, and Asian mythology. Like I said, I might try and see if one of my manga that I want to read, one of my manga series, has Asian mythology in it, and if I can use it as a prompt, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through The Art of Prophecy this month, because there are a few other books that I want to read, but we'll see. We'll see about that one. And Sentient House, I don't have anything Sentient House in it. If I'm totally blanking and you're screaming at this video right now saying, Lisa, this book has a Sentient House in it and you've got it, you've mentioned it before, please tell me, because I don't currently know when I'm looking, what I'm doing, what the brain is doing right now. So help. I don't think I have anything, so I might struggle with that. And then the other one is a book that haunts me. The only book that currently haunts me is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. Or, it's not currently up here anymore, it's down there, Master of Sorrows by Justin T. Cole. Is it Master of Sorrows? Is that what it's called? It's a thickums. It is, and I'm scared of it. I spent way too long looking for book 2 in hardback to match book 1. And I did kind of overspend on it, and I don't even know if I like the series yet. So that's a me issue that, you know, future Lisa needs to unpick about herself. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to say that the sentient house probably won't get dealt with unless I can reread House in the Cerulean Sea. And I think the house might be alive in the House on the Cerulean Sea. Or is that in my is that in the depths of, is that a dream? Is there anything sentient about the house? Do the doors open and close by themselves? I don't know. I might have to ask in the group chat. There are some other books that I want to get to. Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayera. I think that's what it's called. This was kindly gifted to me by Ashlaug because she missed me and I just think she's adorable. This woman blew up on TikTok because she was doing skits. I think it started she was doing skits of like what it would be like to be the assistant of a villain, and then it turns out she was writing a book. I think that's how it went, but she's so funny. It is also available on Audible, so I might get the audiobook and have a real lesson to that one. However, I do also want to read some other spooky books. So, Caught the Vampire Queen, I wanted to read that this month, just gone, for the Vampire Diaries read-along for the vampire book, but like I said, last month, book-wise, this is quite thick for a book. And the writing isn't that small, sorry, but I just wasn't in the mood for books. So yeah, there's this one that I want to get to if I can. But then there's also Lost Boy. There's not an audiobook available for this one. This is the only Christina Henry book that I found that there was no audiobook available for. So that's kind of annoying. But there's those ones as well. But also, because my reading was stalling last month, I do still need to finish The Curse of the Fallen and move on to Forbidden Realms by H.C. Newell. There are also some Spiffbo 9 books that I want to get to. There's some Sphinx books. I have put an announcement, I will leave it linked, that I'm a Sphinx judge. They are all in novellas, so yeah, I'm going to try and get through some of them because they need to be read by December. I've got 9 novellas to read. Yeah, most of what I can get on here, most of what I've got on here, I can get on audio. I think because I don't have much manga left, I'm going to slow down on the manga. I read 30 manga in September, and although it might look like I've got a massive manga collection, I don't have that much of a big collection that I can read 30 manga and still continue to read the manga that I've got at a fast pace, because it's just not going to be possible. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't have that many manga left, so I'm going to try and pace myself a little bit more of a manga and get back to reading my books. That is the thought process behind that. I'm going to add It Ends With Us onto my list as like a maybe. This is all on MBR anyway, it's not a TBR. I did forget to say that. I do MBRs now, not TBRs, because it's less pressure. I'm going to put it on there as like a maybe, like a maybe possibly kind of. If I can get through what needs to get through, then I will move on to that. And if not, it will just get pushed to November with To Sleep in a Sea of Stars and Livy's Pick. So yeah, that is it from me. If you don't like me and you want to see more of me, please like, comment, subscribe to all that good stuff. If you're here and you let me know here, if you don't have anything to say, please do black hearts, very much appreciated. And enjoy whatever you're reading / doing / watching, crafting in the month of October. Enjoy spooky season, blessed be, and we'll see you all very soon.